My name is Mary Ferris, and I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Micronesia on the island of Moan in the Truk district. Well, I was terrified. I had never been away from home before. I was a young, sweet Irish Catholic girl who had never been away from home, and it was my first experience on an airplane. I was terrified about that. When we went to San Francisco, we thought we were going to be training in San Francisco, and the second day that we were there, they told us that we'd be going right to Micronesia. And I was so innocent that when I got there, they gave everyone big brown envelopes and on the envelope it said what district you were going to, and on mine it said Truk. Well, I thought that meant I was going to be driving a truck in the Peace Corps, and they spelled it wrong. I thought it said TRUK, and so I put a C before the K. I was worried to death because I thought I was going to have to drive a truck and I couldn't drive standard. God, I can't. Well, then I found out I didn't have to drive a truck, so I was okay. Except that I cried all the time because I was so homesick. Let's see, what else?
I'm curious, did you tell any of the other Peace Corps people that...
No, I never told anybody anything about that. No.
About the truck thing?
No, I never did.
Know.
No.
Well, my name is Joe Green. I served in the Peace Corps in Micronesia. The years were 1966 to 1968. I was stationed in the Mariana Islands on the small island of Tinian, where I taught school, TESOL, grades 4 through 9, PE, did health surveys, did damage assessments after the various typhoons we had because we were in Typhoon Alley.
My name is Jerry McAvoy. I served in the Marshall Islands, Micronesia 3 phase, from 1966 to 1968, and I was assigned to the island of Utrecht, where we ran a weather observation station, did health surveys, and taught in the public schools K through 10. We did that for a year and a half, and after that time I transferred to Ebi, Marshall Islands, where we also worked in the public schools. We were the first volunteers ever to get to the island of Utrecht, and at that time they hadn't seen an American in over 25 years. The anecdote I have to tell you, I'd never taught before, and when I went in there, the first thing they did was they threw me into a kindergarten, and the kids were bouncing around like ping pong balls, and I had all I could do for the hour and a half I had them for ESL to calm them down and kind of like, get them on the straight and narrow, which I never managed to do in the course of a year and a half, but I tried anyway. The first year I lived there, it cost me $35 American because we lived out of the lagoon. We hunted our own fish, we bought rice, but we took our own coconuts down off the trees. We hunted our own fish, and we cooked our own meals, and it worked out really, really basically living off the land for a full year and a half.
How'd you get the coconuts off the trees?
Climbed.
You did?
Yep, and other people did too. They could climb higher than I could, but I gave it a try a couple of times.
So you learned how to do it?
Yep, we did. We climbed the trees barefoot, 1 foot on either side, and up the tree like you see in the movies, but we learned how to do that.
Great.
Good. What do you want that for?
So we can insert when we get back.
Okay, good. All right. As I said, when I came out in '68, that's what I looked like.
That picture.
John F. Thomas, 66 to 68 in Micronesia, and we were on the island of Moan, and we were at a boarding school, St. Cecilia's there, teaching English as a second language.
Hi, I'm Diane Wildman. I served in Micronesia in the Mariana Islands, the capital island of Saipan, during 1967 to 1970.
Owen. I was in Micronesia 1968 to 70, and I taught English and math and worked with a clinic and then worked with a handicap cooperative.
I'm Bill Welcome.
And I'm Kitty Welcome.
We were on the island of Saipan in Micronesia from 1970 to 72. I was a vocational education teacher. And Kitty?
I taught English as a second language, and we lived on the beach in San Antonio. We liked it enough that we returned 2 years later and lived there for 2 more years. So. Actually, we had a famous dog we should have told you about, but because we took a Booney dog that we took home with us, and then when we came back 2 years later, people came to see the dog that actually had gone to the United States and not only gone but returned. So that was a big deal.
The dog was very protective, and every time people would come in our yard, he would bark at them. But when we shipped him home, we were afraid that there might be trouble on the plane, so we shipped him a couple of days early to Chicago. We sent a T-shirt that I had worn and sent it to my dad. When he got to the airport in Chicago, they were afraid to get near the dog, but he walked up with the T-shirt, dog smelt it, and just walked out of the airport with my dad, and he took him home. So.
My name is Suzette Jaquette. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Micronesia on the island of Saipan. Probably the biggest thing is just, I guess, is that, you know, it puts your life in context with kind of the whole world, because now you're not just basing things on what goes on here, but you know that there's other worlds out there where other people are doing things, and it makes you think differently about your life. Is that, you know what, if you don't want to live like this, there's a lot of places you can go that are different. You don't have to be here, you know. And I know in a minute, I mean, if I wanted to move there, I could move there in a minute. You know what I mean?
Hi, Chuck Sayon, Micronesia, 1984 to 1988, and first 2 years in Ponape State, outer island of Pingalap, and then the last 2 years were in the state of Yap on the outer islands, stretching all the way from Ulithi to Wooley and Lematrek and others in between. I just remember going out to all these outer islands and working with the communities in their marine resources and just trying to do economic development. But it seemed like because of my work, we would actually be fishing every day and just catching all kinds of fish and then eating fish fresh. So it was one of the greatest times of my life. And I think if anybody could do 4 years of fishing on the side, it was part of your job, that would be a dream come true. So, you know, I don't fish as much anymore, and that's one thing I really wish I did. But I just remember fishing and fishing and fishing. And how ironic is I didn't like to eat fish as much before I went out into Peace Corps, and now I eat fish more often.
Great, thank you.